Dynasty is in the books, ladies and gentlemen. And the Seattle Seahawks are champions of the National Football League. They get it done in fairly convincing fashion over the New England Patriots. And now the rest of the National Football League figures out, what do we do? How do we match? Where do we go? Ben Leber, I'm sure, watched every single minute of it. He joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. And as we welcome you back, I must tell you, I'm a defensive purist. I have never been offended by, 10-7 games of my childhood. I got no problem. I don't need 52-48, okay? But I gotta get your view on this, because I didn't come away convinced that most of what I saw yesterday was simply a matter of two great defenses going at it, albeit it looks like Seattle is very good, but as much about pretty lousy, unimpressive offense and not real accurate quarterback play. What says Ben Leber?
Yeah, I would say it's probably the same, especially from the Patriots standpoint.
Yeah.
I think there was a conservative but strategic approach by Seattle that ended up working out. But yeah, I thought it was like uninspired play, poor performance, and almost to the point where the Patriots looked like they didn't deserve to be there. And, you go back to the Denver game and, I think we could all look back now and say, well, if Bo Nix was healthy, that should have been a better representation of the AFC versus what we saw yesterday. Now, I would say most of the time I'm sort of a defensive purist. And I do love all the blitzing and the disguising of blitzes and the chess match that happens. But, again, when I look at it from you're just overwhelming them because they're not a good team, I didn't love that.
I'm with you on all of that. I came away thinking that probably the two best teams at the real Super Bowl was Rams, Seattle. That likely they were the two best teams, especially as you mentioned with Denver missing its quarterback. And I say that to introduce the subject of Sam Darnold, because Darnold I didn't think was brilliant yesterday, but he was awfully good in the game, the NFC title game that got them here, and it did look like one of the lessons he learned, maybe this is easy when you play with a really good defense all year, is my philosophy should be live to fight another down or even another series. It's not the end of the world if I take a sack. It's not the end of the world if I throw the ball away. I just simply can't give the ball up. And that he understood that was probably the only way New England was going to have a chance to stay in that ballgame.
Well, somebody must have got to him, and it's not like it's a big secret, but you take care of the football, and you're going to win a lot of games. And what was the stat? They're the only team in the Super Bowl era to go through the playoffs and not have a single turnover on offense. And
yeah, good point.
I think when you look at what we saw of Sam last year, is that's 100% the case. If you've got a defense that can apply the pressure, keep points low for the opposing team, all you have to do is just not make the catastrophic mistake. And we even saw that with Josh Allen. There was,
yeah, you're right.
Some times where all you got to do is just not make the risky play. Don't be scrambling with the ball hanging out loose and you turn the ball over. It's like little things like that will kill you. And they did a great job through the whole postseason of just taking care of the football and relying on their defense, relying on a good run game, and kind of beating and everybody, dominating the line of scrimmage, which is what it's all about.
And their coach he's younger than ours, isn't he? Isn't he 36? I think he's 36 years old. So I think he's is it the second or third youngest to win it? We all assume that you have to have as head coach the great quarterback whisperer, right? The guy who understands everything there is to understand about offensive football. But I guess we are reminded again, there's more than one way to get to where you want to go, depending, I guess, on, how you divvy up the power and who else you give the authority to.
Yeah, and I do think that it seems like it's probably 50-50 on the teams that win Super Bowls that have a defensive, they're led by their defense versus their offense. But I think we focus on, especially recency bias of Patrick Mahomes and what they're doing in Kansas City with Andy Reid. And we're like, oh my gosh, you got to find this dynamic quarterback to get you out of trouble, to make some plays. But we also have to remind ourselves in, recent history that look at the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, that is what I would think that, yes, they have a lot of talented players on offense, but they're successful and they're kind of always in it, and they won a Super Bowl because of their defensive front and their front seven. So, yeah, I know that we get enamored, and it's very sexy to see this offense and this quarterback whisper, but defensively, they usually win championships, and that's what happened yesterday.
So, what did you see from Drake May? I mean, there's a part of me that says, well, it's a little bit unfair to grade him on too hard of a curve, given, that he's just figuring this thing out. He's still a pretty young quarterback, but the whole postseason, it's weird. He had some really nice scrambles, I guess, and a couple throws, but it was so different from his regular season, where I think he was one of the highest rated quarterbacks, and for yards per attempt, I think he was number one in the league. What happened to him in the postseason?
I wonder if that shoulder injury specifically in this game mattered. You didn't see a lot of designed runs, and that's something that he showed throughout the whole season. Not a lot of designed runs. He seemed very apprehensive to use his legs. He did use his legs a little bit more in the second half. I don't think that Josh McDaniels did him any favors. I mean, there was a lot of just really easy dink and dunks.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't trying to get the ball down the field. I also don't think that when they reached sort of the top tier defensive level that they're playing against, their receivers just they're not great at getting separation. So I don't think that he's dealing with as much talent as they thought. And that was kind of going into the postseason was, hey, we had a really light schedule off, for this team. Our strength of schedule wasn't great. Is that, are we better than that, or how's this going to shake out? And they sort of got by the skin of their teeth in the playoffs. And we, because of weather, really didn't know who they were. But I say overall, his playoff performances weren't great. Certainly weren't reflective of what he looked like in the regular season. But if they fix that offensive line and they give him some more time, I think he's very talented and can make plays. But that all sort of coincides with not having a lot of time to sit there and throw the ball, and his receivers not getting open early.
Did you ever, in the course of your distinguished pro career, or even high school or college, ever find yourself in a position on the field with a fan deciding to make a name for himself, and you were the player who basically brought that individual to the ground, tackled him, cheap shotted him, gave him a forearm shiv? Did you ever do that?
No, but what's funny is that I was involved, loosely in a play like that or a situation like that, where I think if my memory serves me, it was in Pittsburgh. We had a quote unquote streaker on the field. Now he wasn't stark naked.
Okay.
I think he was just like the guy from yesterday. He was shirtless.
Okay.
He was running along our sideline and during a timeout, and I sort of stepped out of our little huddle and just sort of got in his way a little bit to make him have to redirect as the security guards were chasing him. So I made him redirect enough to where they got him, but I never touched him. I didn't lay my hands on him. I didn't really do anything other just kind of be an obstacle in the way that he had to deal with. So yeah, it has happened once, and I kind of wish in hindsight that I would have laid the dude out. It's been really fun.
It's the one, I think, opportunity a player, even in 2025 and 6 has, where you're not going to get ripped for it. That if you do it hard on the field to somebody who's trying to make the game about himself or herself, well, I guess it would have to be probably himself, that the player is allowed to be as vicious and brutal without any sort of, accusation of, that's an uncivilized reaction. You're not allowed to hit somebody that hard. I think people they actually wait for it and want to see it happening when it's a player doing it.
Well, I will tell you, I don't know what the modern guidelines are, but when that happened to us, the NFL came back and said, hey, players, we want to remind you that you are to not get involved with these at all from a player safety standpoint. Because, I mean, most of the time they're running out there just to get attention. They got something printed on their body, and they just want the attention of that moment. But what you don't know is, are they armed?
Yeah.
Are they
there
to inflict harm on somebody or a player? So they really have just told us, like, just don't engage because we don't know if there's some sort of shiv or a knife or whatever. And, you don't want to get stuck on the side trying to protect somebody.
No, you don't want to get stabbed in the chest by some idiot who has that kind of.
No.
And I don't think that's in football. I'm trying to think of all the streakers we've had. I don't have a recollection. We've seen it in other sports, but I don't think in football that any of those individuals have ended up hurting any players. But I guess that is part of what you have to worry about. Nacho Leber giving us.
Go ahead. Gaardsy would know. I mean, it happened in tennis. I mean, you got to be careful.
Monica
with some of
Seles.
these psychos.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're that close.
Yeah.
You're that close to the crowd. It's very tough.
Well, we've talked about this before. I don't know necessarily with you, Ben. I'm actually surprised, especially when it comes to tennis and basketball, where we don't have more incidents of this. God forbid. I don't want to encourage it, but given the proximity to how close everything is, I'm actually impressed and stunned that we don't have more lunatics, trying to do more things. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so close. Everything's so tight.
Well, I'm actually really surprised that some of those protesters in basketball actually paid for such an expensive ticket. I mean, you go to an NBA basketball game, you want to get within 10 rows of the court, and you're paying a pretty penny. Yeah. So you better really hope that you believe in what you're protesting or doing, because just to get that close as a spectator and then jump the court and super glue your hands or something to it. I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's
so
very true.
Maybe price point is what keeps them away.
Maybe that's what it is. Good point. I'm reminded by a couple of our texters. The most famous historically, I think the most famous shiv or mauling of a streaker was by a Baltimore Colts linebacker from back in the day called Mike Curtis, and you can find it via NFL Films or online via YouTube. It's as crushing, and I think it was kind of one of those blindside hits where he doesn't even see it, the streaker doesn't see it coming, and Curtis just lays his ass out. It's impressive if you get a chance to watch it. Meanwhile, Dr. Phil wants to know, would Leber soft tackle Morgana, the kissing bandit? Are you old enough to be familiar with Morgana, the kissing bandit?
Yeah, that would probably be one of those, like, you really want to attack from head on and like go for like a form tackle.
Yes, probably true.
You just try to put your eyes right in the breastplate and then just like
that's it.
Lift from behind the hips and like drive through.
That's a very good way to put it.
Incredible thought, Leber. You put incredible thought into
that's
it.
very deliberate and very precise. For the youngsters, Morgana was, I want to say she was an exotic dancer. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure that was her background. She was in Hollywood for various things too. And she would show up at baseball games and she would trot out onto the court or onto the field, I guess I should say, baseball diamond. And she would like go kiss the third baseman or give the third baseman a hug. Morgana, the kissing bandit. I don't know that she ever did it on a football field, but she definitely made it to several baseball diamonds back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody would be too opposed if that happened.
No,
again.
that's very different.
We can, that's a trend we could try to bring back.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, you and I have not talked on air since the Vikings made some news with the dismissal of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Do you put this? What was your immediate reaction to it? Did you kind of think it was likely to come, or because there'd been a delay after the season, were you surprised when that announcement came down?
Well, me, like a lot of people, went on a little bit of a roller coaster ride because, several weeks before that, I had heard that through the grapevine that it was going to happen soon. And then so I was just sort of in my own world, paying attention to my phone and social media, just like, okay, news is going to happen pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened. And then obviously Senior Bowl rolls around and it did seem like, okay, well, whatever that was didn't happen and is not going to happen because they're not going to do it now. And then it did happen. So I was like, whoa. So it's that whole like proverbial, like, I wasn't shocked, but I was surprised by the timing. It's not like I was like, wait, how did they come to this conclusion? Like, I understand how they got there. Right. I was a little shocked by the timing of it.
Yeah, it makes sense, I think. And I don't know if we're ever going to get a complete explanation for that. Maybe the Wilfs felt like they needed a little more time and they had a couple more people they wanted to talk to. But I guess in the end, you sort of got to do what you got to do, even if it's late. I want to get your opinion on Mark Craig, who's covered the Vikings and pro football forever. We call him the wise old owl. And he had a piece Sunday in which he kind of laid out, the obvious stuff regarding the drafts, which speak for themselves in terms of the number of player starts of the players he's drafted. I think we were like 29th or 29th in the league in starts from players drafted during the Kwesi regime. That's not sustainable. Obviously, that's not particularly workable. But part of what Craig's point is that he doesn't think it's like an after-the-fact sort of easy to say this now belief that you could see it almost coming from the beginning, that when you try to reinvent the wheel with someone who hasn't grown up in the scouting system, from the time he's 12 years old, like some of these guys, almost literally, that the chances are it's not going to go well, and that you could almost see it, that the team was trying too hard to think out of the box. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's more complicated, or what do you think?
Yeah, now, this is not even just revisionist history, and this is in the moment. We all looked at that trade with Detroit, and we're like, what? What is going on here?
Right.
Like, who does that? What's the rationale of trading with one of your division rivals? And there's no way that this is going to turn out well. I hope they draft a bust and we don't. Like, why would you even put yourself in that position?
Right.
So I think there were some moves that were made where I think it's fair to say you're really overthinking this. Like, you're trying to think so far outside the box and be so creative that I think this is a detriment to the football team. And that was in real time.
That's true.
And then it doesn't work out. And then it's like doubly bad. So, I will say that, let's go back and talk about the Lewis Cine thing. And I know that everybody wants to look at what happened. And yes, we could have drafted an all-pro safety that's, killing it for the Ravens.
Right.
But, in the moment, there was a lot of indicators that said that Lewis Cine was going to be a good football player. And there's a lot of actual experts, draft experts out there that said, hey, Lewis Cine is a dog. Literally and proverbially, playing in Georgia where he was a captain and all this other stuff. So I think first-round busts, they happen a lot. I think they missed on just some trading moves. I think they missed on some lower-end draft picks that should be consistent starters. And there's just lack of development by some of those guys. And like I said, there was enough there to warrant why he got let go.
Yeah, the salient numbers are that, for example, Seattle, their general manager is John Schneider.
Yep.
The Seahawks received 571 starts from the 38 players that Schneider drafted in the past 4 years. 571 starts. The Vikings in the same period got 172 starts. The average number in the National Football League over that period was 368 starts. So that puts the Vikings almost 400 short of the NFC champs, 200 behind the league average, 31st out of 32 teams. And to me, all the other stuff about detachment and, whether he was gone too much or was in his law office too much, those are symptoms maybe of an issue. But to me, it's the cold, hard reality of those numbers. You just can't continue to pay your way out of those kinds of empty drafts.
Well, the thing is, I agree with you. Like all those other things that happen outside, the paternity leave, the things that we hear about even after that it just became a lot of working from home and all this other stuff. And I think if John Schneider, after 5 years in Seattle, ended up working with that sort of corporate model, I don't think anybody cares.
Right.
But this is a performance-based business.
Right.
And when it feels like you're underperforming, then it's fair to nitpick at some of these other things. So, was that enough to, fire the guy? No, not at all. Is it part of the formula? And just kind of like, boy, this is just kind of odd. Like, not only are we questioning his evaluations, we're questioning the drafts, we're questioning some of the moves. Now we're also questioning some of the leadership styles and that sort of thing. So, again, it's not a huge deal until it actually is.
Media jackals are all trying to speculate. They've all seemingly agreed that they think the Vikings have sent all the messages necessary behind the scenes to say there will be a veteran quarterback brought in. And we touched on this, I think, towards the end of the Viking season, but I want to revisit it because we're getting closer and closer to that point of, okay, who? Well, who do we have in mind? Who gives this team another option to protect them in case the McCarthy continues to struggle or just cannot stay on the field? So give me on the Ben Leber realistic wish list. Give me, count them down, 3, 2, 1. Your 3 top quarterbacks that you think are gettable, that you say, yeah, any of these guys, but especially the guy I have at the top of the list, would give KOC, the quarterback whisperer, a viable alternative to J.J. McCarthy if it becomes necessary.
I think number 1 is Kirk Cousins.
It is. Interesting.
Which is going to be recently available.
Yeah.
Probably number 2 is Derek Carr.
Okay. Ooh.
If he comes back and unretires after his shoulder surgery, which all the rumors are saying that he wants to make a comeback. I think a guy like Marcus Mariota would be interesting. Mm-hmm. I think if you can peel away Jacoby Brissett from Arizona would be interesting, although he's probably going to be their starter no matter what, because they're going to let go of Kyler. And I am not in favor of bringing Kyler, and I don't think he fits this scheme at all. So I'd put him at the very, very bottom of the list. Mac Jones sounds like he's going to be protected by San Fran, but that's also probably a leverage ploy just to let everybody know that if you want to come here and grab him, you better come with a big offer. So I'm not saying that he's off the table. I think this is just a strategic move by them to formally announce that they don't have no plans to trade him. I definitely think that he's a touchable asset. I would say those right now are the most likely without really getting ahead of yourself and leveraging the future too much.
Is Cousins at the top of your list because you believe he's the most realistic, or because you like him the most of those you've laid out?
I would say I probably like Derek Carr the best. I think he gives you a little bit more mobility. Yeah, but he's unproven in the system. I mean, from just if we're just comparing current skill sets, and as long as his shoulder checks out fine, and he's just as strong and he get the ball down the field, I sort of like him as a better option, just because he can escape just a little bit more and buy you more time. Certainly not I wouldn't put him in the athletic category, but I'd probably put him at number 1. And then Kirk number 2, because he's been there, he's proven it. It would be seamless, very easy transition. We would just need the offensive line to really step up and give them the protection. If you're handicapping the division right now, and this is probably impossible to answer because we don't know who that other quarterback is going to be, and there's a lot of open questions at this point. Give me not how you think they're going to finish in 2027. But how they should be regarded at this point within the division. Where are the Purple last of the 4? Is that too low for them? Where do you put the Purple? I would put them 3rd right now, as it stands right now. We don't have a confident quarterback situation. I think the Lions, I would actually put them at the bottom because there's something about their aura without their coordinators from 2 years ago that just seems off. And I know they have a lot of talented players, but I think they also have some contract situations on getting some of these players back. Their defense has been a mess the last couple of years, and I'd put them at the bottom. I would put probably, I know this sounds crazy, but I'd put Green Bay at the top and Chicago second. And the reason I put Chicago second is I love what Caleb can do, but he's still a 50% passer. Yep. And you shouldn't need him to find some sort of his magical bag of tricks at the end of every fourth quarter just to win football games. So I think that from a comfort level, I think week in and week out, Green Bay probably gives you the best chance to win.
Good to catch up. welcome to the abyss, the football season. Well, the football season, I guess, never ends, quite frankly, because of all the other things in the schedule, more than any other sport. But we are at least at the end of the games. And what I, like I said, thought was, I don't know. I mean, to me, if I'm a team, I look at this season and go, God, this was a season, it was a great opportunity to make a run, because I don't really think any of the teams, even Seattle, I don't know that I classify even Seattle as a great team. I mean, good for them. They're good enough. They won it, but I didn't feel like we had, greatness out there at the top. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's kind of weird how college football and the NFL were pretty parallel this year. I think everybody kind of felt the same thing about college football. Like, it was the perfect year for a team like Indiana to win it, because it just didn't seem like there was like the true creams of the crop and, this stalwart top 8 teams or something like that were just like loaded with talent. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think, we were in a situation where I think if we had better quarterback play and did not turn the ball over, we all know what the defense did, we could have made a serious run in the postseason. So,
you're right.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening, but I definitely think Seattle, they earned it. They showed everybody, especially in the postseason, that they were legit. They could win football games with all 3 phases, and they did that.
We'll see you in training camp. It's right around the corner. Before you know it, it'll be here.
I'm sure we're going to be talking free agency.
I hope so.
I'll talk to you draft night.
There's going to be some big names, quote unquote big names on the Vikings roster that are not going to be
no question
on the team here in the short term. So we'll have plenty to talk about.
There's plenty to there has to be, I think, and you got the weird decision. I don't know if it's weird. It's interesting that they're not going to go out. Not going to do the general manager search until after this draft. Yeah. There's a lot at stake this year, Ben. I mean, there really is, too. There's a lot. This team, for all the obvious reasons, they need to make some hay.
Oh, the reshaping of the organization is happening this offseason, for sure. Yeah. I mean, and not just players come in and out every year. We all know that. There's turnover with every team. But when you possibly bring in an outside GM that has different views and a different staff, this potentially could be and will be an organization-wide reshifting and redirection of this franchise.
Thank you, Leber. We appreciate the bonus time. We'll be in touch.
All right, no problem.
Be good, Nacho.
Good to be on with you.
Thanks, man.
Have fun.
You too. Ben Leber helping us out, as only he can indeed do. It's good to have Ben back for at least this week. Is there enough to do? Do you want to do a 520 sports fix? Or
we could. Yeah, we could.
You don't sound very happy about it.
No, we could. I got to figure out what I'm going to tease with now.
I left you in that position.
You left me in that position. We could do it.
Because you don't have to tease.
Well, we've got Super Bowl, we've got Olympics, we've got the Wolves falling apart, we've got all kinds of stuff.
And then after that, I think we got to revisit what I put off earlier, our conversation with Johnny Athletic, because there's a couple things that continue to bug me, kind of stuck in my craw, that I think people are being, maybe inside the organization, a little bit too philosophical about. So that'll give us a chance for both of us maybe to rant on that particular subject. Wolves, by the way, in action tonight.
Right here on the Fan.
Right here on the Fan. Who is it tonight? It's the return of Naw.
Naw, yeah.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
Thankfully, we have his replacement finally. Took us 4 months.
Well, yeah.
But we've got one.
He was only mince 33 at his first game. Should we give him another chance?
Does he want another chance?
That's the question.
I liked your tweet yesterday.
I think we got to give. Well, it wasn't.
Not the one about the Prince halftime show. I thought that was way off base.
Very, very premature and trolly.
You had no idea.
No, the one related to the fact that maybe he thought he had never left Chicago based on all the off-court stuff, locker room stuff that seems to be taking place for a team that looked awful the last 2 games. Back with a mini 520 Sports Fix next.
Wolves. Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Let's get to the 520 Sports Fix with Gaardsy. What do you got?
First, I want to remind you that we would love to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. And the final keyword of the evening is happy. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword happy. Lindsey Vonn, probably not happy. But she did drop an Insta post today to tell everybody that she suffered a complex tibia fracture that will, quote, require multiple surgeries to fix properly. And she gives, you want to talk about a full pelf? She basically gives a description of how the crash happened. I was simply 5 inches too tight on my line when my right arm hooked inside of the gate, twisting me and resulted in my crash. Now, is this a half pelf? Because she says my ACL and past injuries had nothing to do with my crash whatsoever. I won't read the whole statement, but it's there, and she's actually got a picture of her right arm hitting the gate moments before she crashed, and there you go. So,
you know,
is it a full pelf or a half pelf?
I don't know if it's either, but what I want to say to her, she's not waiting for approval from the Bumper to Bumper program, I don't think, at this late juncture. However, what I want to say to her is, God, there's another great camera angle on the ski jumping. Just tremendous. It's just, I'm losing myself in all of it. Look at this.
And Milana Cortina?
It's just beautiful. This is a beautiful scene.
Good
anyway, here's what I would say to her respectfully. What difference does it make? Even if the knee injury, the ACL, would have had something to do with it, that's still okay. It's almost like she's so defensive about wanting to fire back at people who are going to say, well, of course, that's what happened. That's what happens when you try to compete on an ACL. And I would say, who cares? It doesn't matter. It was her choice to do it. She may be being accurate and for the record and wanting just to make the point, but let's go ahead. Let's say that contributed to it, had a lot to do with it. Then I would still say that doesn't take away her right to go for it and to try to do what she did, right? To me, it doesn't make any difference. You're saying?
I'm trying to find the sounder that I want because, yeah, we need to play this while we can.
I'm glad you remembered this.
Yeah, and we have to play this.
Yeah, it's a good one.
This is the iHeart approved Olympic theme. Don't want to get sued by Tirico, who's already on site. You know, he took a plane right at. First of all,
Tirico's in trouble.
Mike?
He got ripped from.
Why?
Who was the actor who was actually a Jets fan that he identified as a Patriots fan? The comedian. Who's also going on to motion pictures. He's one of your favorites.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Somebody said, I thought it was the New York Post had something that he identified him as a big time at the game, like as a big time Patriots fan. He's actually a Jets fan.
Interesting.
So
I think he's from Massachusetts, but maybe he's from New York. I don't know.
I have no idea. Anyway.
Tirico, by the way, so he does his hosting on the field last night.
Yes, he did.
And then he gets on a plane, and he's already there. He's in studio.
Yeah.
He's doing the prime time bit.
He probably didn't travel commercial.
No, somebody actually tracked I think 2 planes that they had for NBC people, because a lot of NBC people working football are going to work the Olympics, not just Tirico. Correct. Producers, camera people, the whole deal. I mean, I'm a broadcasting nerd, so the Tirico thing fascinates me.
Yes.
Like, what an opportunity. And like, he's so good. Like, he is
very good. He's very versatile.
He's so calm.
Yes.
Like, he's obviously so prepared.
Very few people wear better than he does, because it's not precocious. He's not bombastic, but I don't think he's boring either. I think he does a really good job.
He's just a pro.
Yeah, he is.
The Coreys. You want the local angle? Corey Dropkin and is it Corey Thies in the mixed curling today? Halby popped up today with as much vigor as I've seen since he ran across the Al Shaver press box to tell us about Hermantown. In the U.S. is headed to the mixed doubles final in curling for the first time because of the Coreys, a riveting semifinal against Italy, home country Italy, 9-8 in the 8th end. So curling is always us. And why is this a big deal? They're Duluth based. Because why wouldn't they be? Because that's what we do. We're kind of the curling capital, are we not? We should be. Whatever happened to the Jared Allen experiment into curling? Did it ever go anywhere? Not really. This time around? I think it went to the trials. Yeah. But I don't know if he ever... beyond that, yeah. I don't know if he ever got into it. Was it a 5-0 final with U.S. and Switzerland today for women's hockey? So that's good. The men have their first game on Thursday. Parker Fox, watching his fiancée Taylor Heisey, says Arena looks good. Everybody was worried about the arena. All you shock jocks were worried about the arena. Says everything looks good. He's drinking a Corona. What a gig for Parker Fox, by the way.
It's a great opportunity for sure. That's outstanding.
He
was on with PA, I think, today.
Yes. Yeah, he called in. I kind of call him, he's this generation's Lindsay Whalen's husband, my buddy Ben.
Yes.
He's kind of the new generation.
Yeah, you're right.
College athlete. Ben played golf, national champion, but it's not bad to be Mr. Whalen.
No, not at all. No.
And it's been good for Ben. And
great scene.
It's great for Parker right now. It's
Look
great for
that
Parker right
scene,
now.
Where the gallery down at the bottom of the ski. Even that looks like a great setup there. This is.
How many more days until you text me and say I'm going? I'm going to Italy.
Yeah, I wish it'd be nice, but it's probably might be a little late now to get there. Plus, credentials might be difficult. Maybe tickets. I don't know. Did tickets sell well there? I don't have any idea how they've been doing on tickets.
Looks like it's. I mean, the slopes look pretty full.
It looked packed for sure. It looked nice. I could use a little more snow. If you want to add to the atmospherics. I mean, the winter background's nice. How about a little bit of snow falling? Can we get that arranged?
I would like, actually, and somebody tweeted about this, we were watching it on Friday night, some of the trial runs on the slopes here, and the course was shut down because they were basically like a pothole. I mean, it was basically like Gerbschmidt was out there. There was like a pothole on the course from a previous fall that they had to fill in and fix. And it's amazing to watch, the workers, they've got to be on skis too. And so it's amazing to watch them navigate the hill and the slope and get the gates where they need to be and how they're smoothing off the course. And then they got to paint it over here. I'd love to just watch that.
Yeah.
Like Peacock needs to have one of those. They can do anything on the streaming platform. Peacock just needs to follow around the people.
Just the preparation.
And the maintenance.
Yeah, and the maintenance, yeah.
It's amazing.
Do we still have our Sochi soundbite?
Somewhere. I think I just saw. We also have Pyeongchang.
Well, somebody else is saying Sandler is a Patriots fan. I'm just here reporting what
you're just reacting to the outrage.
What I was told, and maybe it was what we call in the business fake outrage. I don't know, but there was the accusation because everybody's got a gotcha. Everybody's got to get somebody.
I know,
even him. So I'm not particularly surprised. Oh yeah, that's brilliant. So majestic. Sochi. Do you have the other one?
Sochi.
Perfect.
We had three of them.
Sochi.
What about the other one?
Pyeongchang?
Yeah, where's Pyeongchang?
Hang on.
And weren't there like 2 or 3 pronunciations of that as well?
Yeah.
When was that?
I don't remember.
How far back does that go? How far back does Sochi go?
Wasn't Sochi 2012 or 2014? It goes back a while.
Doing this too long, man. It's unbelievable.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah, sure. It's unbelievable.
You and me both when I know where to find it.
Well, you mentioned the broadcast crews, they need, because you got a bunch of people going over in the planes.
Pyeongchang.
Very good. Different one?
Pyeongchang.
Oh, that's very different.
I remember we had the discussion.
There was a schism there. Which way do we go? Yeah, I think I like the first. I think the first one sounds more majestic than the second one.
Pyeongchang.
I love that. That's well done. Sarajevo was, I think, 84 Winter Olympics. That's the first one I covered. And the best part about that trip was in December, before the Olympics, there was a media junket over there that I was allowed to go on. And it was basically, so you're in a plane with all the ABC, then it was ABC, experts, right? It was like Jim McKay. It was Peggy Fleming, the all-time great figure skater. She was on the trip. And so you get all this access ahead of time.
Yeah, it's different.
With the media people. It was tremendous to have that opportunity. And then you go there. So then you get an idea, okay, here's what Sarajevo is like. This was, by the way, before it got destroyed by the war. But yeah, it as you said, I mean, most times for the Olympics, I got to say, I feel like the networks have done a good job. The people they've ended up using have all been pretty good, good to very good. And those were back in the ABC Wide World of Sports days. Now, NBC pretty much owns everything, correct? They got Sunday night everything.
They do.
So they got Sunday night football. They got Sunday night basketball. Yep. They got Sunday night Olympics. They got everything. Sochi.
And Tirico can handle all of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he does it.
Yeah.
The Wolves are back in action tonight. We'll see what kind of mood they're in. Maybe tonight's giveaway should be like a mood ring.
Should be.
Everybody gets a mood ring, and you figure out, because apparently they're a bunch of brooding teenagers.
It's unbelievable.
You have a teenager, you could speak to it. I have like a preteen, where it's already like seeping in, where it's like, this is what the next 5-6 years are going to be like.
We're going to get into it in more depth after the 520 Sports Fix for sure. Because the whole thing is bizarre. It's almost getting a little bit goofy.
But they've got the plucky Atlanta Hawks tonight. Atlanta 26-28, 2 games before the All-Star break. And that's really all I got on the Wolves.
That's enough.
It's like, you'll hear it right here on the Fan. Tune in to hear what Alan Horton's got for you.
And how motivated will Nah be tonight? Nikhil, like we said, he's averaging over 20 points a game. He's been a huge find for the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not completely surprised that he's emerged, because he's a little higher in the pecking order. They've had all kinds of injuries, so he's had a chance to emerge. And here, he was always going to be kind of an extra, part. And that, again, is what I think Ayo Dosunmu represents, is giving you a reasonable facsimile of what the Wolves were missing with no replacement for Nah, right? That he can, got to give him a minute. I mean, he looked a little bit lost this last game, but he can score, he can handle the ball, he can guard, and he's pretty good size. He's about 6'4".
Yes.
So the assumption is he's going to be a big part of this team moving forward. And as Johnny reminded us, who knows? We might be able to get another scorer via the buyout. That's part of the reason the Mike Conley return has been delayed and probably will be delayed. I'm hoping and assuming that once Conley rejoins the club, we'll have a chance to get reacquainted with him on the air.
100%.
And in doing so, break the bumper-to-bumper curse. His return, I think, breaks the curse.
I agree with you.
Doesn't it?
I agree with you. There's a lot of Nah revisionist history going on, by the way. Well, just that the limited...
On the budget?
Yes, because who was it? Oh, I think it was Simmons and your guy, Zach Lowe.
Okay.
They did kind of a trade deadline podcast.
Right.
And in it, they basically said the Dosunmu move, in their mind, makes the Wolves a legit title contender, especially because that's one of the things that they've been missing. But because they said, well, they never, they didn't pick Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Well, it's like, it's not that simple. Like, when they
didn't reject him.
Yeah, you
had
can't
to make
keep everybody. Yeah. And it's not like Naz Reid has been a bust.
No.
Right?
Although he's also moody, apparently.
Everybody's moody.
Nah, I don't think was moody.
He's always in a good mood.
So maybe we should have kept him and got rid of one of the moody guys.
But remember we talked about Conley was going to get his first career technical on this team, because rather than lift us up, he was going to be dragged down by the rest of them because he never complains.
Yeah.
Nah had a great quote today, though, at Shoot Around. Talked about being back, and in Minnesota it's so special, and he loved it here, like everybody loves it here.
That sounds a little sarcastic.
Right. But he brought it up, and then he said, my son was born here, and I'm paraphrasing the second part, and I'd like to think that this version of Nickeil Alexander-Walker was born here as well.
Who said that?
Nickeil.
Oh, interesting.
It's a great quote.
So he wasn't doing they didn't need me, and now I'm going to make them pay.
No, he was doing this is where I became.
This is where I became who I am.
Becoming now. And the fact that I could sign a huge
By the way,
contract.
Did you see who's apparently not showing up so far in Washington? Not reporting?
Anthony Davis?
D'Lo.
Oh. He's still not hope to come here.
I don't know where he's going to end up. We got the money to bring him back. Hit a couple of shots. Who's to say? You want to talk about moody, though? Can a team with this many moody players possibly handle another even moodier player, D'Lo?
Man,
you're
right.
kidding me? My God. All right, let's leave it at that. I've got a bit of sound I sent to you. It's a Morgana the Kissing Bandit moment involving the legendary Lakers play-by-play voice, Chick Hearn. And we also have some requests. People wanting us to play, at some point today, the famous Wide World of Sports Open, the thrill of victory and agony of defeat, the narration open, with some great horn sound as well, because their point is the Lindsey Vonn moment would have been perfect for the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Back in just a minute here on The Fan.
Yeah.
Captain wants to know if there will be a Dr. Dan's inbox anytime soon. The answer is yes. We've hit the abyss. We try to stay away from the inbox for a few weeks, given all that was going on here locally. But the plan right now, I think this is a good week to resume with the inbox. Unless are you out anymore? Are you out Thursday?
No, I'll be out early Thursday, but we'll have time to do the inbox.
You will have time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do the inbox.
Yep.
Bring that back on Thursday. Another nomination for Kyrie Irving to Minnesota. I just have not gotten any sense that's, unless I've missed a story, that Dallas is in the mood to make that move. Do you? I've not heard. I thought they were, but maybe there's been some changes on that. I'm not exactly sure. Stay tuned. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's go ahead and play the Wide World of Sports Thrill of Victory, Agony of Defeat Open that we've the iconic Open back in the day when this was in the days when ABC was doing a lot of the international stuff, including several Olympics. Although the Wide World of Sports wasn't Olympics related, it was literally the Saturday show in which they did pride themselves on that program of covering esoteric stuff, including cliff diving, believe it or not. They used to cover, you want to talk about esoteric, cliff diving as a competition. So it wasn't just bats and balls. It was a lot of different stuff, a lot of winter sports, etc. I think it's Jim McKay on the narration.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, that's good work. That's good stuff. And I think I've mentioned this before. The agony of defeat on that show forever. The video that you saw, or film back then, was of a ski jumper. We're watching ski jumping tonight from Milano Cortina, and it was a ski jumper named Vinko Bogataj, and by the video you'd have thought he was dead. I mean, he went off the side of the track.
Oh, yeah.
He's cartwheeling in the air, and he survived it. In fact, we ended up, in '84, we got a chance to talk to him. We found him. I don't think he was competing at that point, but we found old Vinko Bogataj. I can't remember a name from last night or earlier in this show, but I can remember that name. I don't know what that says. I guess that's all age-related. Who's to say? Lastly, we were talking, this is a callback to our discussion, how we ended up talking Morgana, the kissing bandit, with Ben Leber. Well, I know what it was. We were talking about the streaker, or the guy who, he wasn't really naked, but he had, I think, his shirt off, who went out on the field for Super Bowl 60. And somebody brought up Morgana, the kissing bandit, an exotic dancer who started showing up at sporting events, largely baseball games, and would trot out to third base and kiss the third baseman. And, then go back to wherever she was and everybody would cheer. Let's face it, there were no security people who were stopping her or bitter by her. It was all considered kind of a bit. And one of our listeners has found a Morgana event at a basketball game. And the voice you'll hear, the main voice you're going to hear in this sound is the Hall of Fame Lakers broadcaster, the late, great Chick Hearn. And this is right before a game, I think in San Antonio Davie, involving the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs. And Larry Brown is coaching the Spurs. And you'll note that Chick doesn't seem all that enamored with what Morgana is up to.
The referees for tonight's basketball game, the veteran Jake O'Donnell, will work with Terry Durham and Derek Stafford. And what is this? That's the kissing bandit, Morgana.
Chick?
Well, I guess it's funny, I guess. He put a lot of lipstick on Larry Brown's cheeks. Okay, the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Chick did not exactly seem enamored by the whole concept. Okay,
Let's get to James Worthy and Michael Thompson for the Lakers.
And by the way, you can see in the video a big red lipstick mark on the right cheek of Larry Brown's face. A very young.
He did look young.
Larry Brown. What he was. He probably was pretty young at that point. Don't forget Minnesota Fats versus Willie Mosconi in billiards on the Wide World of Sports. Yeah, they had billiards. They had all kinds of good stuff. Evel Knievel, target platform diving, everything. Had quite a few. Outstanding work. So we had Johnny on at 3:30, and part of what we played off of was a Finchy comment from Saturday. This was when he was responding to Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert's challenge, quite frankly, directed at him to start benching players if they're not going to play hard. And among the things Finchy talked about was a lot of our low-energy plays comes from a collective kind of foul mood. So these are things that I try to identify. Transition defense is most obvious one for us. A bit of a litmus test for our mood and our willingness to make that play. Johnny said to us, and you isolated the tweet or the comment via X while he was on with us. Johnny called the current Wolves the moodiest team he's covered in 22 years. Wasn't that the quote?
Yes. It's the moodiest team I've covered in 22 years.
So look, again, this team's still well above 500. Their pedigree is good. But there's a part of me starting to think that everybody, including the head coach, is being way too philosophical about this. What is this foul mood nonsense? How do you finesse that? How do you even take that seriously as a head coach or even players or fans that, well, we're just kind of, a lot of times we're just really, really moody. I mean, at some point, doesn't somebody have to say, get over yourselves? You got what are we doing here? This isn't, we're not supposed to be turning this team into some sort of a mysterious, mystical Rubik's Cube, right? It's freaking basketball. Just go out and play and guard and do the things, and you're going to be better, even when you're trying, as Rudy said, some nights better than others. But it's because it's almost coming off as, well, what can you do? Well, we're moody. Yeah, a lot of moody players. If that's really true, then maybe we don't have the right collection, or maybe we do need to add somebody else who is going to sort of take this whole thing and mock it and say, grow up, people, let's go. What are we doing? None of it makes any kind of sense to me, and it's almost, like I said, becoming, well, you throw up your hands, what are you going to do?
Right.
What are you going to do? Hey, we're moody. Uh-oh, it's foul mood day for several Timberwolves players.
I know.
It's the strangest thing I've ever heard of.
And not to make it about the business, but we always say, like, there's fans showing up tonight.
Yes.
To watch them play the Atlanta Hawks.
Yes.
Tickets are not free. They're paying the money. The ticket prices continue to go up. We just talked about that within the last 3 weeks. Like, you can't have all of this. Like, because the fans are going to notice eventually. Like, that's my biggest worry with all the ticket stuff. It's like, you can't, as much fun as the playoffs have been, and they do seem to have this weird ability of when it looks like it's all going to fall apart, then they play and they look like, the 72-10 Chicago Bulls. But like, the fans are going to start. The fans are already moody. They were booing the whole weekend, basically, right? On Friday and Sunday, yesterday in particular. So
yesterday, I thought they sounded past angry, that they were almost like resigned, which is even scarier, quite frankly. The whole thing is again, if there's a high quotient of moody players, then long term, I think you got to say, what are we doing? Right. We're going to have to make some changes then, even if we think they're talented guys. And maybe I'm too easy on Edwards. I guess it's possible I am. But this part of Randall has always bothered me. As good as he's looked at times, and as helpful as he has appeared at times, it's always been the thing nagging in the back of my mind.
For sure.
When it comes to, can you win a championship with him being one of your main guys? Not whether you can go far, but whether you can win a championship. Because he had that in him in New York.
Yes.
As good a player as he can be, as talented as he is, that long term would be worrisome. And frankly, it might well be part of the reason that you're going to see Tim Connelly, if he believes in any of it, he's not going to acknowledge it publicly, but if he believes there's any truth to any of it, that might be another reason why he goes back to the well on Giannis and hope that he can find a deal in which the rest of the roster isn't gutted for some way where, because I don't think you got to worry about that with Giannis. No. I don't think Giannis is moody.
No, he's always in a good mood.
Giannis knows how to play.
Yes.
And not let this nonsense, but and how much do you put, this on the head coach? I don't know, but I think some of it has to be a little bit of his responsibility, unless this is his way of saying, well, this is the people you gave me.
Right.
And I just happen to have a high quotient of moody guys.
But however, though,
foul mood guys.
Yeah. Randall is by far the moodiest.
Yes.
And Finchie loves Randall and has talked about it a lot and believes that he understands Randall better than anybody. And Randall has said that as much. And by the way, it's been a net positive, I think, to have Julius Randle on the team. When he's good, he's outstanding.
Absolutely.
And he seems like a good dude and he seems like a good guy and all those things. But even my untrained, not Chris Finch eye can tell in 3 possessions every night if we've got the right Julius Randle.
Yeah. He's been in the league too. Life's too short for that.
I know, but people will tell you that know him better that, well, benching him's the worst thing you can do because then who knows what's going to happen. Which also, again, if that's what we're talking about with maybe your second most important player,
that's a problem.
What are we doing here?
That is a problem.
Because when he's good, he's so good.
Yes.
And I as a fan, I like pulling for him.
I do too.
Because he's one of those guys that can affect energy both ways. But for whatever, and again, he was in the Giannis trade rumors. Of course, these guys aren't stupid. They know if Giannis is coming here, I'm not here, Naz isn't here, Jaden's not here.
I'm glad you brought that up because there were people wanting to assign blame for a large part of the Wolves' struggles the last few games to the fact that, quote, they're human. There's a million trade rumors, and that's very unsettling. And I don't discount or deny that possibility, but here's my problem with the theory. We've seen this team, in circumstances that had nothing to do with getting close to the trade deadline, play the same way.
That's fair.
As disinterested. So I'm not going to, I can't, it's hard for me to believe that explains it. If this was a team ordinarily that took care of business and suddenly they stopped doing that a week before the trade deadline, I might accept it. But let's face it, we've had a number of weeks where it's looked exactly the same, and there were no trade rumors. There was nothing out there about the possibility of Giannis coming here and a bucket load of players going to Milwaukee or elsewhere. So Clayton from Rochester has an interesting question. Would the Kissing Bandit making an appearance tonight at Target Center get the team to lighten up a bit? Would it be helpful if is the Kissing Bandit still alive? Morgana, the Kissing Bandit.
I'll just take a look. Jiggly Boy, he's still alive.
That's a good point.
Maybe
Jiggly
he can
Boy.
come back.
Yeah. Well, there might be a bit of a different reaction to Jiggly Boy from the players to Morgana, but I guess it's the same principle.
Morgana, the Kissing Bandit.
Morganna. I don't even know her last name. I don't even know. That might even be her
Morgana
real name.
Roberts.
That's her. She alive?
78 years old.
She is alive.
Yeah. Yes, it looks like it.
Fascinating.
Born in Louisville, Kentucky. She's not active, though. It says active 1969
I think she's
to 1999.
Retired. Yeah, I think she's retired. Who's the woman? Who's the acrobat who does the dishes?
Red Panda.
Maybe, is this a night, is Red Panda, maybe that would loosen things up a little bit. Red Panda coming back to Target Center. That's very different than the Kissing Bandit, but might be a distraction of sorts.
But all ideas need to be on the table with this club right now.
I think Wolves fans are moody now as well. You're probably right.
I just got a text from a buddy of mine that said fans are already moody. He was there yesterday, said the lower level, nobody was there.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, let's do this. Let's make this the top of the hour pause. We'll get to a couple other texts and a couple of other controversies before we wrap things up. Wolves are on the Fan tonight, not just the Timberwolves channel, but also on the Fan tonight against the Not great, but right now dangerous because everybody's dangerous against the Wolves right now, Atlanta Hawks. It looks there's some luge activity going on now at Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks to me like they don't have, maybe it's not practical to think they could have a, what do you call the camera that we're talking about for skiing? What do you call the...
like the course cam, like the GoPro, like the drone?
The drone that we had in for downhill skiing in the same position, because the drone in skiing is like right above all the way down, basically. And in this case, maybe because it's more of a closed environment, it doesn't work quite the same way. I'm not sure. Where was I? I had something about the Jimmy Johnson news conference, and now I don't remember what it is. Let me see if I saved it. Oh, I know what it is. On this date, Feb 9, is this the 9th?
Yes.
1964. A record 73 million viewers watched the Beatles make their first appearance on CBS's The Ed Sullivan Show. It's interesting because I hear that number. That's like the Super Bowls. I don't know if we have the number for this one, but that's usually in like the 120s, isn't it?
Yeah, we should get the official number tomorrow.
My guess is it'll be down from a year ago because it wasn't particularly entertaining game and wasn't all that dramatic. Maybe at 1 minute, you're thinking the Patriots got that first touchdown out of nowhere, and you go, oh, maybe they can make something interesting. And they did get the ball back.
Yeah.
But then they had the pick, and that pretty much ended it.
Terrible pick.
Beatles, yeah. The Feb 9, 1964 on the Ed Sullivan Show, 72 million. The first of, I don't remember how many appearances they had, but they had several on the Ed Sullivan program. I had something from Dan, Minnesota, too, and I don't remember what the hell it might be. I'm not sure. We do have some text coming in from the audience on the state of the Wolves. Maybe KG could come out of retirement to, get the whole team going. I think we're kind of past that, although we do expect eventually he's going to reunite, right? With that announcement's been made. But I don't think are there any big visits that we know of planned for this year, or is it more next year? My guess is playoffs.
Yes.
There's going to be something.
He'll be back for the playoffs, I would imagine, but I haven't seen anything official.
Matt writes, Dan, we have a team of highly talented but undisciplined players with more specific and inconsistent discipline. They take on the character of their leader, and Finchie walks around frustrated because he knows it. Can't seem to do anything about it. Love the show as always. That's Matt. I'm not in the fire Finchie camp at all. I don't think that makes a hell of a lot of sense at this point. But I do have more concern than I used to about the dynamics right now between him and his players, because, his point with Rudy's comment about not playing defense, not going to try hard enough, start benching people, even if they're good players. And, of course, the comeback to that is that's easier said than done because your depth's not very good, and are you cutting your nose to spite your face? But I think Finchie's oversimplifying it too, that you can't substitute your way to a title. I think what he's trying to say is our best players are our best players. And if we think we can sit them and be effective, doesn't make sense. But that oversimplifies it. I think what you should be able to do as a coach is for a 4-minute stretch where you ordinarily would not take a player out, say, I am taking him out now. Even at the expense of, what you're missing without him. I don't think it has to be wholesale forever you're benching people, but I do think there's a middle ground there that Finchie is dismissing a little bit too easily. And what he always, as we've said before, has to be careful. The same thing any coach. We talked about this with Sam Mitchell. You got to be careful as a coach when you try to separate yourself too much from the team with the old talk to them. Go see them. It's their deal. Technically, that might be true, but you're the guy who's supposed to sort of bring the whole thing together and give the group the best chance to develop into something. And he has. Again, do not take for granted what this team has done the last 2 years. But I think the feel is a little bit different. Now, I've said some of that. There were two things going on with this club that concerned me. One was they didn't have a bench. Now they have rectified that, I definitely believe, with Dosunmu. I think he'll end up being a very effective player for this club. Give him a minute. But I think the other thing was more internal. And even the notion that, well, this is the guy because he plays with such energy and consistency and purpose in terms of effort, that's going to fix all the rest of the moody SOBs. That's dangerous. I don't buy that. He's not that good a player. He's not a transcendent player. He's a good piece, is what he is. But there's a reason he was available for what he was available for. Okay, let's be honest about that. Let's be clear. So I don't think you can fall into that trap of saying, well, this one guy is going to fix everything. Can he add some spice and a little tonic to it? Maybe. And maybe he'll feel more comfortable as he's here a while and figured out, his place. But I think a lot of that has to come from within. And I would like to see the head coach selectively. Doesn't even have to be pointedly, but just selectively be a little less afraid when he sees something that indicates, well, it looks like his mood's pretty foul tonight. Maybe we're going to give somebody else an extra 4 minutes. Does that make sense?
It does. You mentioned the ask them comment, which was from earlier in the week. That's what's interesting about the whole week, I think. Well, they went and asked Rudy, and Rudy said what he thought.
Rudy answered. Exactly right.
And by the way, I'm on Team Rudy.
I am too, 100%. Even though the game, he was bad defensively too, and I get it, but
yes,
that was an effort. It's never effort with Rudy defensively. It's just not.
No, and I get it. He's absolutely the wrong messenger because he's probably the most disrespected player in the league.
Yes.
And I'm sure that filters into his team every once in a while, even though I think, have done a good job of trying to get the best out of him in different ways, whether they give him the ball in the lob, whether they, feed him, they pump him up, the whole deal. Like, it was 2 nights before or 2 or 3 nights before when Fitchy goes, well, ask them. Like, it's not my problem.
And the Jackals did, and he answered.
And he identified a major problem of the team.
That's correct. It's undeniable. He may not. I think Finchie didn't like the coach part. He felt like I'm guessing, but I think he picked the wrong thing. I think he would have been better off saying, "Well, you heard what one of our leaders said," and he probably admits he didn't have the greatest defensive game either. But he's hit on something that I've tried to harp on. And maybe we're going to hear it from more players. I thought he had an opportunity to use that to the good of the team and to the good of himself and just ignore the part about getting defensive on somebody trying to tell him when to take players out, right? I don't think he needed to really necessarily to mess with that part. The other part is what should have encouraged him that he should have grabbed onto, and he didn't.
And when he says nobody has subbed their way to greatness, well, a lot of these teams that are on their way to greatness, they didn't have the need to from time to time.
Correct.
I'd have to go through the last 20 years of title teams.
Right.
But I'm guessing Steve Kerr never really had to sub out for greatness, right? I'm guessing that his guys kind of understood what the championship mentality was. Certainly when they went 73-9, they understood to bring it every single night. Go down the list. San Antonio Spurs, Davey. Who are some of the other title teams from the last 2 decades? Like, they didn't have these wild ebbs and flows throughout the season. Of course, you're going to have bad nights.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks you're going to be perfect every night, as much as we'd like to romanticize about the 80s and 90s when it felt like that there was no load management. There were no schedule losses. It was 3 games in 4 nights. I'm sure it was more complicated than that, but now it's just, those teams didn't have to do it. Because their guys just showed up.
They showed up.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. It's just true that they're just wired that way. And again, if it's beyond any head coach's reach, then you're back into, well, maybe then you are going to have to think, as painful as it is, given the position of the team, of making some changes to the roster. I mean, I think Tim Conley is a realist. The best example I can give is if you listen to what Conley said at the press conference where he's talking about the moves that the team made and what's the lesson from the Dillingham, failure. And part of what he said is, well, we have sometimes players who just need to have a chance to play and to play through their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think my guess is Conley thinks there were times when, especially when one of the other players was being moody, that Dillingham should have had more of an opportunity to do that. But at some point, if you continue to be committed to your coach, you look in the mirror and you go, well, I may have done it a little bit differently, but this is what we're stuck with. So this is the way this coach is going to deal with this situation. So therefore, let's cut our loss now, and especially when I can get a good rotation player in return who can help us immediately, who I know he's going to plug in there. But I think my guess is he felt like, well, there's a guy that I still am convinced can be a good player, but we're not going to know it here simply because he's just unfortunately not going to get the playing time. All right, we got one more break to get to. We'll wrap things up, remind you of what you missed earlier in the show and what we have scheduled for tomorrow and, as I said, later tonight here in the Fan.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper Show Wrap.
Charlie Walton points out that since January 16th, the Wolves' record is 5-8. We have the 21st ranked offensive rating. We have the 15th ranked defensive rating. And we have 5 losses to teams below 500. That obviously is not workable. It is fixable. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. There's plenty to be played. But I sense that the next 2 games before the All-Star break, these are the last 2, have an outsized feel to me that have become more important because the Wolves have made them seem more important with their disinterest, quite frankly. It's not often on the Fan Sports Duel broadcast that you hear words like, well, it looks like we're not competing anymore in this game. And that is absolutely what it tended to look like. Now, I get the bit. You hit a few shots because they missed a bunch of shots and you feel better and everything's fine. But I don't. It was more. Right now, there's more than that's going on. So I'm as curious as anybody. Are you going tonight?
No.
Okay.
Not going
as
tonight.
Curious as anybody to see how they react tonight. I mean, in theory, you'd think you're going to see the best of them because they know that it doesn't look good right now and they have to remind themselves of what they're supposed to be. But is it that simple? I don't know. I'm not sure. The pieces don't seem to be fitting together all that well right now. The drone shots at the Olympics are amazing, but they are super audible in some events to the point where it takes something away. Ski jumping is the place I noticed it the most. That was Nate. Now, I'll admit I haven't had the sound turned up much, so I'm unaware of that part of it. And somebody else mentioned there can't be a drone for any luge or sliding sports at the Olympics due to safety and the high speeds, according to the International Olympic Committee. That makes sense. But it's unfortunate because that's another event where you get a real better appreciation for the speed of it and the harrowing nature of it if you had that right above. But it's practically speaking unlikely to work. The Wolves will be on the Fan tonight, by the way. We've got Fan on Demand as soon as we wrap up, and then it's Wolves Hawks. Nikhil, as I said, making his emotional return to town. And I guess part of what we have to find out, we didn't really talk about this much with Johnny, who joined us at 3:30, is what the rotation is going to look like now.
Right.
So is Ayo the first guy off the bench? Is it Nas? Mike Conley isn't here yet.
What's up with Bones now?
And Bones has had some moments.
Bones is probably the guy that loses in this transaction.
Potentially, yes. Although, again, maybe you go back and forth between the two. I'm not sure. But in theory, eventually Bones might lose just a little bit. And, Johnny raised an interesting point between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. He reminded us that you can certainly you can evaluate Mike Conley's on-the-court play and say it is slid, and we can't ignore that even if we all have such great appreciation for what he's meant to this franchise. But he thinks that there is still, part of the reason you want him back is regarding all that moodiness. He thinks Conley has a place that might alleviate some of that or be a voice beyond the head coach and the coaching staff that might be helpful in that regard. So that's an interesting thing to remember as we wait for Conley, who still might be a week or two off, because the longer we keep him out, the more flexibility we have to pick up potentially another legitimate veteran player out of a buyout. And we have the flexibility on the buyout in part because of that delay and the way they went about the deals that they did. Who was the guard from Sacramento that Johnny mentioned?
Was it DeRozan?
DeRozan. Yeah, DeRozan's the most interesting
He was
name.
like 40 years old, but continues to play well.
He knows how to score. So I'm sure they won't be the only team interested in. He is moody.
What are his vibes like? Does he have good vibes, bad vibes?
I don't know, man. I had no idea. So who's not moody on our team?
Joe Ingles.
But he barely plays.
He never plays, except when we need to inbound.
We don't think DeSumu's moody, by all accounts. He just goes after it.
Man, I'm trying to think. Nobody. Okay, Nas, moody.
Nas is moody.
Jaden can get a little moody.
Jaden looks moody, but I think he can be moody.
Punching the wall.
That's true.
3 years ago.
That's true.
We know about Julius.
I don't think Rudy's moody.
He's not moody, but he's got a short fuse sometimes, and that's why he's been suspended for flagrants. Dante. Right. Dante's got a little edge to him.
The loud, high-pitched shriek of the drones is ridiculous. I didn't realize it was that bad. I guess that's a trade-off that you're getting. What did Johnny just tweet? Did he just tweet something controversial?
I don't know.
Let's see what it is. Why does he do this? Why does he do this? So he's retweeting a tweet from Aaron Rupar. Trump, in the middle of his latest unhinged True Social screed, claims that if Canada makes a trade with China, the first thing China will do is terminate all ice hockey being played in Canada and permanently eliminate the Stanley Cup. To which Johnny writes, "Is that a promise?" Kidding, hockey fans. I'm just kidding.
Boy.
He just can't help himself.
Big
he must be bored.
How could he be bored with his job right now?
Yeah, maybe he's getting moody.
He's lashing out.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, he's lashing out. Watch your own bobber is what Fallness would probably tell him, right?
That would be the comeback, because somebody said Fallness is not going to like what Johnny Athletic just tweeted. I'm currently watching the singles women's luge, and they do have drones flying on the track. I guess I don't appreciate the angles the way I did with the downhill skiing. So maybe it's all in how I'm looking at it. I'm not exactly sure. I'm on my way to Target Center. My seats overlook the Wolves bench. We'll report back tomorrow.
All right. Check out
some
the mood.
intel. Check out the mood. I like that. That's very, very good. There's no question about that. Also want to thank Ben Leber, who gave us a little bonus time to talk Super Bowl 60. And a lot of interesting thoughts from him about the future of the Vikings at the quarterback position. He ranked his top 3. And
you like that?
He amended it. Originally he said Cousins 1. Who was the former Raiders guy? And Saints guy that he met? Derek Carr. At 2, but then he moved Carr up to 1 if Carr's actually available. And he has Cousins 2. And then I think he had the guy who's been in Washington most recently, the backup. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Can't remember his name. I'm not crazy about Cousins. And the other guy, I just worry he might be done. I used to like Derek Carr a lot.
For sure. He was
good. But I don't think he never really seemed to sustain anything there. And as Ben said, I don't know how much he's done in this very sophisticated offense. So we'll see. Tomorrow, what do we got? We got Luigi and who knows what else. Fan and a Man and Wolves Atlanta Hawks. We'll see what the moods are, or the mood is, of your favorite basketball players. All that coming up tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3.
What do you mean?